Good morning. Hello. How is everybody? Happy New Year.
Yes.
I haven't seen y'all since last year.
It's been so long.
It's, I left home last year and I didn't get home till this year.
Oh my God. You know what? Wait. I'm going to make that a prompt or something like that where it's like, and we're not going to use it for a while.
I love it.
Actually, you know what? I'm even going to throw it just because everyone knows that I'm adding it now. I'm going to add it in the middle so that people won't go, oh, number 83. Okay. So what should we call that? Returning next year. That's the prompt. Okay, cool.
Welcome, one and all.
Hello, everybody.
How are you? Welcome. All the loves.
Oh, I don't even have this open on YouTube yet. Hold on. Ooh, buddy, why? So this is my notebook. And I have USB connection microphone as a note to myself. And then my son has started drawing himself.
No, that's a sketch pad. It's not a notebook.
Yeah, it's evolved from notebook to sketch pad. Okay, where am I? Oh, I was going to pull up YouTube. And then
I reached the spot yesterday.
No, you cannot have Netflix today.
I reached a spot yesterday where I have so many tabs open that Google physically can't show me all of the tabs at one time. So in order to see the tabs that I was opening, I had to close some so that they could scroll over, and it was very distressing because I was doing research. Anyway, first world problems. Hi, Margaret. Hello. Devin, welcome. Howdy. And Eva, hello. Happy New Year. Yes. Barrett, hello. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Just Eva, I will say I do sometimes have a desk blanket. I totally know what you mean because I get cold, and usually when I'm sitting over there, instead of here at the desk, but I've done some cleaning, and my husband made a shelf for me, so the desk is even cleaner. Really? That is loud. Okay. But I do a desk blanket. Right now, my desk blanket is this one because I can't get up. So he's keeping my lap warm.
Honestly, even when I worked, maybe even especially when I worked in the office, I had a desk blanket and house shoes that I kept under my desk. I kept a pair of backup black pumps because you never know. But the desk blanket and people knew too if they wanted to bribe the admin to get good food.
Okay, go check on Daddy.
Blankets are the way to my heart.
I always have blankets, like the fleece ones. I want it to feel really soft. And every single time I'm at the store, I'm like, ooh, a blanket. My husband's just like, we have plenty. Stop. I'm like, but we need more.
Plenty, because I feel like plenty is not enough.
Yeah, because I have my favorite, and because it's my favorite, my son wants it.
I did I ordered a gnome blanket for Christmas, and it was thin, very soft, but not at all. I wanted it to be this hefty, soft, which is how it was advertised, and it wasn't that. I was disappointed. It was very cute though, but I was disappointed.
Who else we got in the chat?
First time making it to one of these, Margaret. Welcome. That's so exciting. I think also this is not our usual time. Usually it would be at 9 a.m.
But we understood the holiday staying up late. Though it's funny. So my daughter, she's 11. So of course it was like, hey, let's stay up late. So we did. She hung out in her room until about 11:50. I was staying up watching the newest season of Queer Eye on Netflix. Love it. I'm such a sucker for it. But what was great is we've switched over to the TV to watch, and it was like, all right, 10, 9, and countdown. And then I was like, and bedtime, right when we said Happy New Year. was like, let's go. And so she went to bed. We packed everything up downstairs, went to bed. I'm like, I'm done. We're not doing this.
Oh gosh, they did the countdown at the wedding that I was at, so I was expecting that response, and then they were like, "Now we're gonna reopen the dance floor," and I'm like, "Please don't."
What time did you end up leaving?
I ended up leaving there probably 12:45.
Oh, that's doable. But then, but if you got, I don't know how much you had to load and unload.
Well, that included me loading everything up.
And then getting home and then unloading it? Or do you have this sometimes mentality of like, I'll just get that tomorrow?
No, so it's not. I had to take it back to headquarters and take the electronics out of the truck and then put them inside and then take my car and drive home. So that part was a little bit later, but it wasn't too bad. And the only thing, so I usually don't leave my house on New Year's at all, ever. And even with friends, we've usually picked a house and there's accommodations or Uber. And then everyone we get in and we stay put and we play games and, just real cozy stuff. So this is my first time being out on New Year's in a really long time. And can I just say that driving back, I was terrified. Because there were some people, I was like, if you drive like that when you're sober, I'm concerned for all of humanity.
Oh, God. Okay. So where you're like, I thought you were concerned like hitting a roadblock or something like that. But no. You're like, there should have been roadblocks for the people.
Yes. And I didn't see one. I saw there was places where I saw people pulled over and I did see a state trooper on my route back to headquarters. But other than that, I was like, I am concerned for all of humankind in this very moment because maintain your lane. Please maintain your lane. And they're passing me and I don't drive slowly. So I'm like, you're not maintaining your lane and you're driving faster than me, which is alarming.
For me, maintain lane. And when I drive, I will be in the right lane. I try not to stay in the left lane after I pass someone, but I do use the left lane to pass, and then I try to sit tight. But there are times where I'm just like, screw it, I'm about to hit another row of cars. I'm just going to keep going and staying left.
Yeah, my strategy was to go fast enough to get away from any other vehicles, and then just stay away, just stay there. So I didn't, but that was a little stressful and frightening. But I did one thing I saw from the wedding that I thought was a fantastic idea was that they had buses come and pick everyone up and take them back to their accommodations. So I wanted to mention that.
Were most people out of town, I guess? Or
I think they were staying at, I don't know where they were staying, but they
probably had a party of most people at the same hotel or something.
Yeah, that's what I was.
But still, that's smart. If you're going to do an event, people come, and though it's so expensive. I'm really glad. So my wedding, it was $2,000 budget. We went over it by $500, and it was in my parents' living room. We decorated the mantle and went to Michael's and got the fake flowers and stuff like that. It was great. It's paid itself off. I mean, what, coming up on 11 years, I guess.
11. Is it 11?
Yes, it is 11. We just had 10.
You right.
I know I'm right.
You're right. Oh, that's great.
I'm the brains and the bones, but
Oh my God.
okay, this is too much fun. All right, who else we got in the chat?
Oh,
I saw Lindsay. I saw Margaret, Eva, Barrett.
We excited. Everyone's excited for the prompts.
Bex with the novel Nana.
Love the red color scheme. We planned it. There was a
totally planned it. I didn't wear this yesterday at all.
This is your.
But it was on Twitch, so there's no, unless people took screenshots, there's no proof.
I think it stays up for 30 days though if you're affiliate.
I don't think Sarah is yet. I think she's trying to be.
No, because on Twitch, 50 subscribers, you hit affiliate.
Okay. Let's. You want me to write in the chat the prompt?
Yes, ooh, do that. That's a great idea. Who's the dorks? We're the dorks. I've been watching everyone's stuff yesterday, and I'll just like put it on and listen to it. If it's like just a dialogue thing, I can listen to it while I'm driving, like it's an audiobook or a podcast, and I just be loving that. I'm trying to get caught up because apparently, like, y'all, I'm so annoyed. And just generally, I had 30 minutes of my book to finish in order to hit 82 books last year. And I couldn't because I was working the event. Don't get me wrong, I had a blast at the event. It was great. I'm glad I did it. But I really also wanted to finish that book because I was so close. I like literally got in the car and finished it halfway back to headquarters. I was like, lame. But on the other side of that, I finished a book this year already. It was like 1:00 this morning.
Question on that with the which I'm about to send the prompt, but you're talking about audiobooks. So I'm in the middle of a book, and I am under half. But if I was over half and I finished it today, would it be included in today's or last year's?
I would include it. Well, I just do it by whenever I finish the book.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, like some of the books that I have from last year, especially in January, were books that I'd started reading in December and finished, or like November, December, because I have some really long books. I'm reading a book by Ron Chernow right now about Ulysses S. Grant, and it's a really long book, and I started it in November, I think, and I'm maybe 25% of the way through. These are like 1,000-page books, and they're all, it's like, and Grant ate, this for breakfast regularly because he believed X, Y, and Z. They're extremely detailed biographies, which I prefer because a lot of why I'm reading them is, I write historical fiction and I want to get a better sense of the time. So they're not for everyone, but
I love biographies though. I got a few that I've loved over the years.
The ones by Ron Chernow are extremely detailed. So I know that's one complaint he gets about his writing, but I'm like, please, Mr. Chernow, please disregard these people. They don't know what they're talking about.
I think I also do. I like to do autobiographies.
Ooh, yeah.
And one of my favorites is George Carlin's.
Oh, I've not read that one.
Oh, it's funny because the first paragraph, and luckily my son's distracted. The first paragraph in it was sliding out of and I apologize in advance if anybody is offended by language, please. But it's George Carlin. I mean, but it said sliding out of a slick vagina was probably not how the start of my life was to be planned or something like that. And it was just, and I'm just like, who starts that way? George Carlin does.
Valid.
And then Carrie Ells, his biography or autobiography was really good. I enjoyed that. My favorite ones, the reason I like biographies is because you get the stories like the story of, I think it was Abraham Lincoln was said to have said this, but this woman didn't like him and she was like, sir, if you were my husband, I would poison the food I gave you. He went, ma'am, if you were my wife, I would eat it. And if that's true, awesome.
Please let that be true.
Yeah. But that's what in history class, that's one of the stories I remember that my history teacher told us about Abraham Lincoln. And I was like, I can't be friends. So my point is that's why I view history is because it's like, it personalizes these people and everything. And you realize maybe they were fluent in sarcasm.
You get to know their characteristics more than just someone else saying, he always wore a top hat and his beard was because he was trying to hide the way his face was changing. And
yeah.
Like just Yeah.
To answer your question, Margaret, Carrie L's The book came out before that Castle for Christmas movie on Netflix came out. So Carrie L's did not address the movie with Brooke Shields. But let me... Blue Lagoon. Wait. Blue Lagoon is a movie. And that's... And Brooke Shields. That's right. Brooke Shields was in that. Like that movie was weird. All right.
For everyone considering desk blankets, I just want to put this out there. You could get a desk blanket and a desk heater, like some people.
I had a desk heater, but my son kept stealing it.
Or you could get a desk heated blanket.
Oh,
It is just
you were up in your game.
Okay. 2022, new year, new you.
Treat yourself.
Seriously though, do it.
Yes. I just posted the prompt in the chat. The prompt is a much needed vacation. The words to include are hair salon, bum, escape, waste, yesterday, quack, quaint, jittery, bob, expensive. Man, I got a few ideas of where this could go.
I'm going to open this up and pin it. Ooh, cold dog nose. Was not ready. Okay, I pinned that so y'all can find it. I'm also going to copy and paste it into my... Piper, get out from under my desk, man. Thank you. I just realized, though, that my dog is incredibly respectful. Even when she's, like, wilding out. Okay.
I love my dogs. I actually got a little sad last night because I was reading something about, like, handling loss. And I was like, well, and it said, like, when was the first time you handled loss as a child that you can remember? And I was like, I'm pretty sure it was my a pet, like, that actually hit me hard. And it was my mom. One of our cats was horrible, like, diarrhea. Like, this cat couldn't keep anything down. It couldn't hold anything. And everything just went straight through. And you felt so bad for it. And but, of course, me being, I think I was 12, for me, hearing that we're putting him down, I thought that was murder. So I remember being outside the vet's office just pacing and pissed off at my mother. Now that I'm older, I realized it was humane to put the cat down and stuff. But that's what I remembered. And for some reason, remembering that story, it made me think, oh God, when my dogs, mostly one, not that I have a favorite, I promise. But it's because Lilo is so close to Spencer, my youngest. Like, they are in a pod. Like, it is adorable to see them together. And I know she's 9. Like, it's gonna happen, and he's 4. So, like, if he makes it to 9 before she's gone, like, that's it. The next few years, it's just gonna get harder the more years go by, because he's gonna become more aware of what's going on, and it's gonna hit him.
Yeah. Well, and then it's hard because, like, you have your loss and their loss, and
you feel for them.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring this down right before we start. Good luck with the writing, everybody.
I actually I'm going to apologize in advance for everyone who follows my Ko-fi, because I do have a story coming up that I'm sorry. I wrote it, so you can.
I still got to read. Oh, and Barrett, I haven't commented on Ko-fi, but I finally just read your this I forget the name, but where the devil is returning the soul. I just read that story, and I love that premise. And I thought it was great. So I'll comment soon. But yeah, definitely follow Chandra on Ko-fi. Myself, I post all my flash fictions. Chandra posts a bunch of flash fictions. There we go. Chandra posts a bunch of flash fictions on Ko-fi, and I'm, like, reading every single one. And it's more than what we do on screen here. I post the ones before the video airs, but I don't post the live ones or anything. And I'm still getting more and more excited for when I go back through and edit all these.
Yes. Oh yes.
I'm so excited. Yeah,
but this is a vibe. It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's okay. Listen, we're happy to, even if we're on mute, just play us in the background. We still love you.
Absolutely. What do you do at weddings? I run a photo booth sometimes for one of my friends. And he is, yeah, when he's unavailable and stuff, sometimes I help him out and just, I tell people, look here, smile, grab you some props. I set everything up, take it all down. That kind of stuff. Just in my free time, because I can. What is this electronic loading? I think I also missed something. Circle back to me on that one. Show all through the night. We got snow. Oh, not show, snow. We didn't really go anywhere, hoping everyone made it. So, yes. My husband fell asleep at 8:30 p.m. and I realized we've peaked as cool gays. I mean, I think that's just being an adult.
No, yeah, because my husband and I had the conversation last night. If it wasn't for our daughter who wanted to stay up, because for her it's exciting. I remember, I think it was around 10 or 11 that I was like, yeah, I get to stay up with the family and stuff like that. But we estimated that New Year's is fun, like 10 to about 25. And then like after that, it starts to fizzle, is our theory.
I'm usually up, but even before that, to be fair, I did get married at 19. But even before that, I remember just like having the TV on with the countdown going and us just being up cleaning the house.
So, hey, you're going into the new year right. Like,
yeah, I mean,
clean.
Out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah. Oh no, I got plans for spring cleaning real soon. Like, I'm having to sit on my hands to not clean. And by clean, I mean declutter.
Yeah.
That's what I need at this point.
And this one, big facts, and I don't like it. I don't know how far behind I am on the comments, but I'm very behind on the comments. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and get into sprint number 1. I have a timer already pulled up, ready to go. So let me share that.
I'm hoping I'll be able to write this in because my son is playing a game and he's about to get to a part where I'm probably going to have to help him. Wrong way, buddy. The other way. So we'll see how this goes.
I might actually also grab some cheese puffs. Hey, nobody said you could do that. Because I can. But I think with that, we are ready to get into sprint number 1. The prompt is in the chat. I went ahead and pinned it. So grab that, grab a drink, grab a snack.
Yep.
Get to it.
And chat, don't worry about the time limit. If this is your first time, you got 30 minutes to write the prompt, if you so choose, or do whatever productivity works for you. And then Chandra and I are going to come back. We'll exchange our stories, might have some overall feedback of whether we liked it or didn't like it. And then we will spend a max of 10 minutes, but sometimes less. Sometimes it's like 5 minutes to where we review each other's. So you have all of that time to write. Everything. So you have a lot of flexibility. You're not held to the time constraints we are.
Yeah, that's just for us.
And when you're done, feel free to send it your flash to us through IG, and we'll read it on air if you so choose. Or you can send it to us and say, I don't want it read on air, but please provide feedback, and we'll give it.
And yeah, we read one. We can read one on air in between, just because of time reasons, because we already run pretty long with this.
Yes, we do.
But we would absolutely love to share your story. So it's first come, first serve. Get us your story if you'd like us to read it on air. And with that, we will begin sprint number 1 in 3, 2, and 1. Y'all, I wasn't ready. Was not ready. Hi, Mia.
I'm not ready either. I'm trying to find a synonym for a word right now.
What's the word?
Vacation. I've already used retreat. Holiday. I think I used at one point. Actually, no. I think I changed holiday to retreat, so I might use holiday this go around.
That's a good one. That is the tough one, though. There's not a ton of words for vacation. Escape.
I already used escape.
I'm just rereading the last 3 sentences. And mostly it's for tense because I'm terrible with tense. Hold on one second. Dobby. Here's the big boy who's being a brat. My allergies are just awful right now.
Okay. I was able to make that change. Emailed you mine. Should be good.
Dobby, don't do it.
Yeah.
Let me send you mine.
Don't do it, Dobby. So I wrote that one and I got through and I had everything but the word waste. And I was also reading it and I was like, I don't have a conflict here. I was like, what is my conflict? What is the movement, the thought, emotion, provoking and stuff? And so I'm sitting there thinking, because I didn't outline or anything, but I was happy as I wrote, like how easy the words filled in for me. Where like bum and hair salon were tied really well together in the process of the story. So I was happy with that evolution. You can't hit it when it's glowing. Sorry. I'm a backseat gamer. But I still liked it and everything. And I did finally get my, like, what I would call a whoopsie daisy moment at the end. So
I like it. I like it. Got it pulled up. Let me buzz through some comments here.
I love Eva's like, here, kitty, kitty.
Don't summon him.
He summons himself. That's how skilled he is.
He really does, though. He already fell off my lap once and was like, let me save myself with my claws. Which he's doing again. Stop it. He's so proud of himself, too. You know how difficult it is to hold 11 pounds aloft? I'm going to stop calling him Dobby and just start calling him 11 pounds.
Just call him 11. And then people are like, oh, is that Stranger Things? Nope. No.
That's big boy.
Yeah. Too bad he's not 7 pounds, because then it could be a nod to that Will Smith movie.
Oh, that was such a good movie. It was so sad.
I thought it was good. Some people gave it bad review, and I'm like, it's subjective. I usually don't listen when I enjoy something and I hear it's bad. I know there are people that say bad things, but I don't hold it to memory because I'm like, there's no point.
Sometimes I actually read/enjoy stuff because people are like, I hate it, it's awful. And I'm like, is it? Let me see. I'll be the judge of that.
I did get a flash fiction from Margaret Pinard.
Ooh.
Not sure if we want to do it now and the in between, and then we'll start ours. Oh my god!
Yeah, let's do it.
Hold on, let me clean my glasses. This is no.
He just clawed my pinky finger, and he also hit his chin on the desk because he has no care for where he lands whatsoever. No. Don't argue with me. I said no. He's doing the tail swish and the I'm not going to listen to you. He's like a mountain goat. He just balances in the most ridiculous places. And I'm like, that can't be. You're not possibly. How do you. You're on mute.
He's even more of a mountain goat because he headbutts you.
Oh, this is true. It is true.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He just wants attention.
What? A cat? No. I swear, it's like I can never get these clean. I'm gonna have to get the microfiber cloth. Oh my god, I made it worse. Be right back.
I'm just being aggressively affectionate back to him, so maybe he'll stop. Popping in to say hi and to let the stream getting COVID tested as my sister had it. Oh no. Laura and Adele, I hope fingers crossed you don't have it. And hoping that your sister feels better. Thank you for all the love and support.
Okay, I'm back. And I think I got all of Margaret's. My god, dear, how many words is it? But of course it looks bigger on the phone when you're scrolling. Sure. Yeah, because I mean it's only like what 5 words per line. So,
yeah. So it ends up being just a lot of.
All right,
you ready?
So let me double check, Margaret. Do you want me to read this on air? I just want a full understanding.
967 words.
Good, it's under 1,000.
So it's flash fiction. Yay, nailed it. And
it's the name of the show.
Yes, please.
Okay. Cool. All right, I'll scroll up. All right. A much-needed vacation. Miriam was ready for a change. She had gotten through the blitz because her family needed her to, but she'd fallen apart after New Year's Day, 1946. To avoid being thrown into the loony bin, she had told them she was visiting a school friend in the quaint town of Chelmsford-on-Loo. Hopefully I said that correctly. Chelmsford-on-Loo. In reality, she was renting a flat by the beach for cheap, as it was due to be demolished in 3 months, bomb damaged. But for the summer, it was habitual. I can never say that word. And she could afford it. Oh, habitable. Don't make fun of me. But for the summer, it was habitable and she could afford it. That's how things were now. Everything referred back to the war. Every time her brain connected to bombs falling, Miriam got jittery and had to redirect her thoughts to the moment that she was in, like right now. At this very moment, Miriam's escape included a new hairstyle. She had entered the newfangled hair salon, no longer called a hairdresser's. It was one of the more spruced up buildings on High Street with a blue slate roof intact and red geraniums in window boxes. Geraniums, sorry. The hairdresser was an Italian one. It was an Italian, one of the POWs that had stayed after being released. Miriam wondered at his not being hated in the small town, with a vivid memory of its hardships. Still, one wanted to be getting on and looking nice. She entered, making the small bell above the doorway clang. The man looked up. He was handsomer than she thought when she peeked in the window yesterday. A strong jawline, clean-shaven, dark eyebrows, and smooth jet hair. His deep-set eyes looked calm and welcoming. She wondered briefly about his own wartime hurts. Then brushed the thought away. "Hello, I'm here for a haircut, please." "Good day. I am Bruno Cervetti. And your name is?" Miriam pulled back a little, forgetting that you introduced yourself to strangers again now that they weren't likely to disappear. "Miriam. Paley." "Well, Miss Paley, welcome. I'm free right now, if that suits." He said suit, like sweet. Oh, suit? I like that. And Miriam fell, her mouth turning up at a corner, still acclimating this Italian. That suits. How much for a cut? With a wash? 2 bob. What? But that's the but that's highway robbery. She had been about to sit in the chair, but leapt back up again. It is the correct price for today's haircut. For here, he stumbled. For this frizzy hair. Miriam clenched her jaw. I was by yesterday and you had a price sheet here. She gestured to the wall, but now bore nothing of the sort. And it said 1 shilling, 3 pence, and you have no reason to charge me more. But that is the standard price chart. Your hair is more difficult. That is discrimination, she almost cried out, but managed to keep her voice merely loud. She was tempted to turn on her heel and storm out. She forced herself to take a breath and consider. It was expensive, but she could pay it. She hadn't had a proper haircut in over a year, and she saved money for this trip for the past 3 months out of her factory wages. What galled her was the unfairness. Miriam looked him in the face. He looked all apologetic, but unrelenting. A thought struck her. How do you know the prices? You're newer here than I am. How do you know that word bob? It's called a shilling by most folks out here. You're not even from London. Her voice was proper heated. The man at the union there, Mr. Cervetti began. When I get my certificate, he give me the chart with the prices. Says I must charge the same or they'll shut me down. Union where? In London. That was the hairdressers' union. Was the hairdressers' union in London? Miriam wondered if this man wasn't being hoodwinked by the same quack with a fake badge, taken advantage of because of his poor English. But she would not be taken advantage of. No, sir. Please, Senora, it is not my decision. I can cut very nice, though. You look as if you need it, yes? Miriam sighed very loudly and gave in. It wouldn't be a waste of her whole splurge savings, but she'd bring this bum to account. After she was done, she'd be marching straight to the town hall and ask about a union and price gouging. Perhaps she'd end up helping this poor man as well. That lifted her spirits a tiny bit. Very well, she said, and proceeded to follow Mr. Cervetti's movements in the mirror, losing herself in the present curiosity for the first time in a long time. Eventually, she came back to herself just in time to see the man holding up a hand mirror for her to take. She did, and he twirled the chair around so she could echo in the mirror on the wall and see the back of her head. I like that. Okay. He'd known what to do. Somehow, her tight curled hair had been steamed and styled with a curl at the front and a wave at the bottom. It was very becoming, and she could hardly believe it was her own head she saw in the reflection. She realized her mouth was hanging open and closed it, looking up at the man's expression. His eyes were twinkling. You like it? I do. Where did you learn? My wife was, how you say, Blackfeet, Algerian. Her hair was similar. I took special course. Miriam choked up to hear his past tense. She nodded quickly and swallowed past the lump in her throat. Well, you've done a fine job. I'm sorry to be such a harpy at first. It's all right. I hope to see you again. She paid and left, feeling a little less brittle, more hopeful, and better armored for her future. Hopefully y'all caught on, even with my little stumbles there.
I like it.
I thought it was adorable. I was wondering where the story could go further because I was like, is she going to go to London and to the Union and then find he hoodwinked her? And like there is no union. But then I kind of like how the ending was more of a bond between two strangers brought together by a common thread.
Mm-hmm. Well, also the fact that like you see that what you're paying for is the skill. And
yeah, it makes me think of that TikTok of like it costs that much because I worked really hard at it because I've trained hours and like that whole thing.
Yeah, and that she can see the value of what he offers.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not so much about like I've been hoodwinked, but like wow, like there's a lot of skill here and talent.
And I liked how Margaret, you showed that like her mouth was open and she's like, oh, and like closed it quickly. And the line, I even said I like it, but it was talking about echo of the mirror, and I kind of like that verbiage. It's like you're looking at the same thing on the wall mirror, but you got a handheld mirror, and I thought that was a really nice touch.
A clever turn of phrase.
You don't have to mute me. I can mute me. Okay.
I was perusing the comments a little bit. I saw there was a question about how to submit. So you can send it to Natalie on IG or myself, just to our DMs. If you have a Google Doc that you want to send, you can send a link there. However you're most comfortable. We've received submissions both ways. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that was the big thing I wanted to put on the comment.
I will say, Margaret, you didn't see this change up, but I like what Margaret did. And Barrett also had a different way, but everyone has a different way to make sure they're hitting all 10 words. Mm-hmm. Barrett's way was highlighting the words, and I kind of took on that. But Margaret did a all caps, which threw me off when I was reading because I thought it was for emphasis at one point. Then I realized, no, these are the words, the 10 words to include.
Oh, that's a good
But that does help with scannability if you don't have the capability to highlight, to just set those words in all caps.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I love getting different ways of keeping track of it because it can be tricky, especially when you start writing a little bit longer in the flash fiction scope. It can be hard to be like, where did I put that? So I leave them at the top and then I highlight each word as I've added it. But I know Natalie likes to highlight them in the story so you can confirm like there's just count up the highlighted words. I think that's cool too.
Oh, and another thing, if people are wondering how to do the flash fiction. So I have no problem changing the word. So example, jittery became jitters in my story, but the root of the word there is there. Whereas Chandra tries to stay true to the tense and the style of the word that you're supposed to include. It happens.
Yeah. And sometimes it makes the story weird.
It's fine, but it's fun to have that creativity. And I feel like it really helps see how creative we can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you end up writing things you wouldn't usually write, and that's part of the point. Mm-hmm. Lindsay, thank you for dropping by. Have a great day and Happy New Year. Well, hi, Richard. How are you? I noticed that you popped in, and I didn't. I was already behind by that point, but hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm not sure how. Yeah. Poor Barrett. But I'll have your email and I can email it back.
Yeah.
Or email you back so that you have my email. Love it. Have you ever used the word Bob for a shilling in your life? This is a good question. I did not know what that. I was like, I've not heard it in that context. I don't know what a bob is.
Yeah, it threw me off. But I had fun with the bob too because I thought I was going to go the hairstyle.
Yes.
With it.
Yes.
And I considered that, but then I ended up going name.
I like it. Okay, we ready to go into our second sprint for the exchange? Let me get this timer here. Okay, I don't understand why my YouTube is set to have autoplay off, and yet it still started autoplaying.
It's trying to keep you on your toes.
Well, I wish it wouldn't. Oh. Okay. Okay, here we go. We are ready for this. Sprint number 2, beginning in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I think everybody's ready. I have thoughts and feelings like a human person.
I have questions with yours, Chandra, for sure, because I have my theory of what happened or is happening, but so we'll see if not that I should be your litmus test of if you're conveying properly, because I'm pretty dense.
Well, I feel like we both maybe did some of the same things because I have similar questions. Can I go first?
Yes, dear. I'll go on you.
Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna go straight into it and read Natalie's story because I have questions and y'all need to hear it and think the thoughts. All therapists are quacks. They tell you to take a vacation and treat yourself and then take all the credit if that works to help calm your jitters. If it doesn't help, they just say, we should try something new. Let's face it, a vacation is just an escape from the world, not a solution. They're expensive, and you are right back to face your problems when the holiday is over. Not to mention that you have to prepare for the retreat. Oh, did you think you could pack your bags and leave? How quaint. No, you must visit the hair salon to look presentable for your excursion. Vacations do not mean that you can wear no makeup, sweatpants, and not brush your hair for 3 days. You will be mistaken for a bum if you look like that. We booked the trip yesterday through our travel agent, Bob, who looks quite similar to my therapist. I wonder if the whole self love plan is really a marketing scheme. I wouldn't put it past Brett. At $400 an hour, I don't know how he could be even greedier. I still couldn't shake the thought when I saw someone that looked like Brett, but with longer hair and tanned skin. After I picked up my travel tickets at lunch, I followed Bob to my therapist's office. That sealed the deal. It may be a waste of a good therapist, but who knows who else he has robbed. Needless to say, I was surprised when I returned a week later and was told my therapist had to cancel our next appointment. Not because he was dead, but because his brother, Bob, had suddenly passed away. What? I what? Like
Bring
what?
it on.
I have thoughts and questions. Brett and Bob, are they twins?
That could be inferred.
Or is there a third person?
I want to hear all your thoughts because I think the best feedback is does not include input from the author. I can answer questions when you're done, but we need to have the full,
Okay.
what you inferred. So then if I need to edit to
Okay.
make sure my
Fair.
idea, or sometimes you come up with better ideas and I'll go, yeah, that's what I was going for. How do I get there?
Okay, so here's where I got really confused. I love the voice of the narrator.
Yeah, you always love sassy.
Yes, yes. And I love how it's not a popular opinion. And they're just kind of like rambling on about how irritated they are with the whole thing, but how they're still doing what their therapist said, which I thought it's funny, but also relatable. So don't at me. And then the way that the hair salon part like starts to tie in, and then we get down to the not looking like a bum, and they're like doing all the things to get ready. So you get the impression they're out running errands when they decide to go to the hair salon, not to the hair salon, to pick up the tickets. So they've been doing all this running around town. This is kind of the monologue of them being irritated about it. And they booked the trip with the travel agent, Bob. Now, Bob is in quotes, so I'm like, so they don't believe this is Bob? And I'm a little confused about that. And then Bob looks very similar to the therapist, which is like, Okay. And then I wonder if the whole self-love thing is a marketing scheme. So it seems like the therapist is sending people to the travel agent to book vacations, and he's overpriced, and maybe the vacations are overpriced, so they're both making a lot of money this way. And of course, $400 an hour for a therapist is a lot. I'm sure in larger cities that is not uncommon, but I would absolutely not be okay. And then the fact that they're like, dude, that guy really looked kind of like Brett, though, that Bob guy. And then the similarities and the differences first actually is what the differences between them. Like, well, he's a little more tan and has longer hair. But then picking up the travel tickets, this is where I got really curious. So I like this. After I picked up my travel tickets at lunch, I followed Bob to my therapist's office. Now, if Bob is Brett's brother, wouldn't the main character have just seen Bob when they picked up their tickets? So that was one thing that I found confusing. That sealed the deal. It was a waste of a good therapist, but who knows who else he robbed. I liked that sentence just in general, a waste of a good therapist. I think it's funny. Needless to say, I was surprised when I returned a week later and was told my therapist had to cancel our next appointment, not because he was dead, but because his brother Bob had suddenly passed away. So is it like Bob really was the travel agent and his brother is Brett, or I'm confused.
So the goal was that they are brothers, but the main character thought they were the same person because, main character can't be trusted situation. I did take out now, after your feedback, I took out the quotes off of Bob, because I feel like the next line of who looks kind of like my therapist kind of conveys that without the air quotes. The air quotes was, I think, a little too much because before we usually don't mistrust someone's name alone. We got to meet them first. Though I do have a thing against people's names who start with J. I'm kidding. Only if I date them. Yeah. The first 3 boyfriends before the husband, they all started with J. I'm just saying. All right. Back to the point. But I did see them as like the main character didn't consider twins and was like, okay, this is BS. Like, it's obviously a wig. It's obviously makeup or something like that. And so they decided to take it upon themselves.
That doesn't. So that's the other thing. That doesn't mean that the twin brothers are not running a scam on people.
Oh yeah, they probably still are, but it's like a moment. So and that's what I kind of like what it ended up being. The brothers could have been running a scam, but one of those like I messed up, but it still worked out in my favor situations.
Okay, no, I'm with it.
Yeah, and I think the way you took it, I still like the way you took it, especially because I don't want to lay it all out. And I didn't say twin brother, I just said his brother. But I think by taking out the quotes, I think that kind of makes the story a little better now.
I think that would probably have removed the wait, is there a third person? Because that was where I was leaning for a second. Then I was like, but wait, why that? What? I confused myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it'll probably be one of those things where I'll probably understand the confusion better when I go back through this in like a year.
Yeah, that's fair.
So.
Let's see, did anybody in the comments?
So far, I haven't seen any.
If y'all have comments or thoughts on the story, feel free to share them in the
chat.
Yes, thank you.
Our powers combined. Which reminds me, so I was proud of this, but I don't think it was conveyed. So Margaret Pennard made a post on Instagram about what is it called? About like it was a silhouette of a palm tree and kind of cityscape a little bit, and it said, "Where am I? Wrong answers only." So unfortunately, there's a character limitation. So through my broken text English, what it was supposed to say was between the realm of written word and the world of verbal eloquence, aka what is the word for shadows with light behind them? And I thought it was great because it made me laugh because I was sitting there staring at this photo way too long and I could not remember the word silhouette. And I was like, that's the wrong answer of where the hell she is because I'm stuck between written word and verbal eloquence and I can't think of the damn word.
That is fantastic. Also relatable.
Mm-hmm. Every single time.
When you write up an entire comment and you're like, I have to delete that because I can't think of one word.
Yeah, so I decided to do for me to be lost and I couldn't think of the word silhouette and everything. And so she shared it and it was just funny because it said for between it was B/T. For light, it was a light bulb emoji. So I think something got lost in translation for anybody reading that and I apologize.
No. That's great.
Oh, and then spelling silhouette, I just had to press the speaker button on my phone.
I do that too. Oh
and I was like silhouette, and because I put the H in the wrong spot completely, and or I spell it almost like silo, forgetting there's an H. Good times.
English don't make no sense.
No.
Oh my gosh, I misspelled something in the work chat the other day, and one of my coworkers DM'd me to like call me out, and I was just like, LOL. And I was like, you know what makes this even worse? I was like, I write in my free time, and you would think that I would be better at this by now, but no. Mm-hmm. And he was like, it's valid. Also, I feel like I get to call you out because I also am fame.
All right. You prepared for me to read yours?
Ready. I will go ahead now.
All right. Here we go. I was going on a much-needed vacation, just to stop by the hair salon to freshen up my bob, and I would be ready to hit the road. It wasn't the escape I wanted to plan, but I couldn't afford anything more expensive, so it would have to do. It wasn't a long drive to the quaint little cabin, and I was immediately enchanted. A small stream burbled across the property, the sound filtered in with the quack of ducks that swam through the dappled sunlight. Too much. There we go. The quiet made the stress of yesterday seem like a waste, so I didn't feel guilty for laying around the cabin like a bum. It wasn't until the next day that I started to feel jittery. Something in the quiet warned me not to get too comfortable. Still, there wasn't anything wrong. I was exactly where I wanted to be, where I said I would be, where I said I would be. The thought made me feel irrationally uneasy. I knew he was dead. I'd watched him die myself, and yet... I tiptoe across the cold wooden floor to check the door and window latches. The vague sound of the water over rocks now became another sound to help disguise my potential attacker. I closed my eyes, singing songs in my head, trying to block the sound out. You don't remember this, do you? He asked, his white coat making the grave look on his face seem more ominous. I watched the video of myself on the screen. I was sitting in the corner of a padded room, face obscured by a short shock of dark hair. My arms were locked around my knees as I rocked forward and back. I was humming deranged, high-pitched kind of harmony that wasn't intertwined with any melody I'd heard. My head churned. My eyes looked directly into the camera. My eyes looked at me. You can't be here. I've already killed you. You're already dead. I stumbled back. The doctor caught me by the arm before I could fall. He helped me to my chair. I sat in stunned silence. You see why it's a bit hard for the judge to believe your testimony. I pinched myself. Okay, first off, did I miss anything? Like, that's the full story, right?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So from there, do you need help? Okay. My kid's got the freezer open. She's just staring into the abyss of the freezer, hoping food jumps out at her. I've been there. All right. Hold on. Let me go on mute 2 seconds.
No worries, Barrett. We appreciate your presence. Oh, Dem, thank you for sharing Margaret's IG. We will have to go check that out. Oh, how is Colin? I feel like I haven't seen Colin in a minute. We'll have to go by and say hello.
Okay. Thank you for accommodating. I do have a family still. All right. So, the thing where I thought, I felt that there was an overlap. So when she was uneasy at the cabin, she started, looking out the windows and like locking everything, making sure it was good. She closed her eyes, singing songs in her head, trying to block the sound out of, I'm assuming, the water of the rocks, and such. And then I feel like that is possibly an overlap to show that she actually is and has been in the padded room the whole time, because in the padded room, she's humming a deranged, high-pitched kind of harmony. So I feel like that might be the overlap, and that's what that was the headcanon I put in my head. I don't know why I said head twice, but work with me. And that's what made me think that she's been in the padded room this whole time and imagined the cabin. Like it was her little mental escape of everything. And it's like maybe she has this fantasy, I'm assuming, of killing the doctor. And she's hoped that she did, but she kind of got locked in the fantasy in her mind. So that when she came back around to the present, she's like, wait, but I've killed you. It's kind of like when you wake up, almost like when you wake up from a dream and you're like, it was so real that you think it actually happened. And it takes you a while to like get your bearings back into reality. And that's the way I kind of interpreted this. The part that the two parts that I enjoyed the most was the painting of the scenery with very little words, but it wasn't a long drive to the quaint little cabin, and I was immediately enchanted. A small stream burbled across the property, the sound filtered in with the quack of ducks that swam through the dappled sunlight. I put an image in my head, and luckily, like my cabin idea and your cabin idea are probably completely different, but that wasn't the importance of the story. So I love that you didn't like emphasize that too much. And then my other favorite line was where you italicized where I said I would be, ellipses. The thought made me feel irrationally uneasy. I knew he was dead. I watched him die myself. And yet, because that is like the scratch of the record of the story up to this point. Like, cause it's like charming, God, there's that certain song that's really famous, and it's like when the sun's rising, and it's a orchestra playing with violins and stuff, and flutes and everything. I got the song in my head, but just imagine that, like,
oh, and it's like the drum thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So it's that, and this was like a like moment where you're like, wait, she's a murderer and stuff. And then and what's great, and this is where the great writing is. So she's a murderer. And usually when we hear they're a murderer, we think in our heads, this is, this person's bad. But the way you've written the story and everything of her escape and stuff like that. And then she's in fear in the next paragraph. She's in fear because she's going cold, checking all the doors and the latches and the windows and stuff like that, tiptoeing and trying to just like block the noise out. and thinking she's in danger. So we start to sympathize with her. Like you still have the trust of the reader into this main character and how she views the world, and that we think she might be a victim. But then you see further along that maybe we shouldn't in the next part, where it turns out she might be at an insane asylum, I'm assuming. But that's where my headcanon was and what I liked and the most. I think what I didn't like is I don't know, but that's kind of the point, is to raise questions. But I don't know anything of if she was seeing the future, or if it was a realistic fantasy of hers, or what.
So, spoilers. The part at the end where she pinches herself, that is kind of the loop, because was she ever in the cabin or not? When she pinches herself, we would typically expect someone to wake up. So I wanted it intentionally to be that we don't know if she wakes up. And if she does wake up, what does she find? And the part about the killer, so the killer, it's not about killing the doctor. The doctor really is just her doctor. And although it's not indicated who she killed, she did kill somebody. But she can't remember enough to create a defense for herself, because she's not lucid 100% of the time. So the big question is, was all of that a dream? And the fact that she killed someone a dream? Was like, did she dream that she killed somebody, or did she actually kill somebody? And was she in the cabin, or was she always in an insane asylum? We don't know the answer to either of those questions. That was like my primary intention with it, just to leave that.
I love these moments because we got our inferences and we can get that, but then we kind of circle back to each other and be like, here's what I was thinking. And then it's like, oh, and it's like getting that closure, because most readers never get to talk to the author and be like, what were you trying to convey? Was this like my English teacher says, was this an allegory to whatever? And it's like, no, I just read a story. That's
and that's what I like.
Teachers drive me crazy. Are we repeating yesterday?
No.
Okay, thank you. For anybody that missed it, when I was on Zara's stream, that boy just started walking across the table, like standing on the table. So that's why I turned down and said, "Are we repeating yesterday?" Either way, but yeah.
For y'all, I'm just looking at Beck's comment here.
Hey, we have plenty of flash fiction virgins that join us. It is completely fine.
And if you do want to submit it, are you having trouble with like Instagram or email or whatever? Because I think we're friends. Are we friends on Instagram? Let me check. Because I can just send you my email. Oh, there it is.
Yep. Hey, Nia. Yes, I should probably just let him enjoy it. But also, this boy is the epitome of boys, and he's gotten injured a lot. So my goal is to not let him injure himself. What I do let him do, but he still has injured himself before, was climb over the back of the couch multiple times. Back and forth. And right now he's playing with magnets, but that's fine. As long as he doesn't eat them.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
The boy did eat a screw while I was traveling for work. So I woke up with the time difference. I woke up to x-rays of a screw being in my stomachs and in my son's stomach.
That is terrifying.
Okay. Yeah, that was like the phrase rude awakening and stuff. But I mean, I also didn't have to deal with it, but it becomes that balance. It's like, is it okay because you didn't have to deal with it and it was handled? Or is it more nerve-wracking because you couldn't even if you wanted to, you know?
Yeah. Okay, that reminds me of is also my most injured child.
Yeah. Well, he's not. My daughter actually has had more broken bones. Like, my husband never had a broken bone. I never had one, and neither was my son. But my daughter, probably just shared this story where she was 2 months old, and my mother-in-law was carrying her and tripped over a box, and they both went down. So my oldest had a fractured skull and a broken clavicle. But luckily, babies healed like real quick, really, really quick. But all the other one, no one else has had broken bones, so we'll see.
I have not, knock on wood, but I dislocated my shoulder, and that was not good.
Especially, everything looks like anything that's dislocated to put it back in. It looks like the most painful experience ever. Like, I'm very fast, but it's painful.
I was fortunate because it came out backwards like this. And so when I swung my arm forward as a reflex, it just it just went right back in. But yeah, it was not a good time. Hi, author Elliot. Welcome.
Well, Claire, her name's Claire, by the way. Her and I did a productivity stream one time. It was really fun because we actually talked about ways to try to be productive and try to counter procrastination if you're naturally a procrastinator. But Claire, we are going to be probably going into sprint number 3 soon. Once we pick, actually, this is a good transition. We can go ahead and pick our prompt.
Yes,
and words. So,
you want me to type it up while you?
Yeah, I'll call it out. The chat, if you don't mind, give me a letter between A through Z and pair it with a number between 1 through 60. And if we happen to duplicate from a previous flash, then what we can do is say up, down, left, or right from that cell. But so, for example, 60Z would give you a word. So
Y22.
Let me go over. Why is that? Okay, whatever. All right, Y22. Y22 is diction.
J9.
J9 is cologne.
No, I'm not making deals with you. This is like school.
All right.
52. I feel like we might have done that before.
Maybe. We'll see. Actually, that does sound familiar. Mostly because it makes me think of the band.
Makes me think of B-52 bombers.
Yeah, that one too. Declare. We have not done it before. Declare. My grandfather used to say declare, like that was his expiration or whatever the word is. Where he would go, I declare.
Exclamation.
Thank you. Exclamation. All right, moving on.
D1.
D1. So Delta 1.
Mm-hmm.
Angry.
I was angry with my father. I was very angry with my father. Sorry. K7 as in kilo 7.
Kilo 7. Left, up, or down?
U2.
U2. Leper. Leper. So whoever did K7, left, up, or down?
Just had to go check and make sure I spelled cologne correctly and not colon. Don't want to be one of those.
I'm about to go silent for a little bit, but I will be listening.
Dobby just stole Piper's chair, is what I believe happened. Like, hopped up in the chair, kicked Piper out, and now he's like, he's literally knocking out. It's been all of 3 seconds.
Hey Nia, left, up, or down on K7?
Took me years of therapy for me to say I was angry with my father. It was such a good quote. I love that. That's one of my favorite movies, not gonna lie. Pretty Woman and Pride and Prejudice. Could watch those. Nia says up.
Fear.
Here.
Yep.
All right, we need 4 more. I haven't put one in this time, so I'm going to say Z28.
Cackle. All right. I had my husband give a number and a letter. He said 52M. Where's M? Ooh, 52M is snooty.
We also have an 07.
07. There. Barrel. Barrel.
And we need one more.
Yep.
Go finish your lunch.
Let's see.
I think we already had a U2, right?
Yep, that was leper.
R11.
R11. Invisible.
All right, now we just need our prompt, and then we will pick our challenge.
Yep. Prompt, choose a number between 1 and 83. No corresponding letter needed. Actually, between 1 and 82, because we did
1
83.
and 82. First one in the chat gets to pick the prompt.
I'll pick 69. We've done it before. Just saying. Everyone does it. But I just try to throw it out there. We've done it now.
I love it. 75.
75. Scroll. All right, 75. Running before you walk. Interesting.
All right. And what is our challenge?
All right, the challenge. Chat, you can chime in on challenges, because if we don't use it, I'm still going to add it to the list, and it could be a future challenge that we do. Write all characters as animals. We've been jumping around that one.
We really have been.
Yeah. Write it like it's a children's book, which actually I could see it working with the words.
I feel like we need to save that one till Barrett is on, though.
Oh, yes. Oh, that would be wonderful. Okay. I think I've decided the challenge that I'm going to have when Colin's on screen with me is that I have to do a horror and he has to do like a feel-good story.
I love that.
That would be perfect. All right, you've heard it here. All right. Cannot use the words the or and.
Let's do that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cannot use the words the or and. All right, so those are the only 2 words. Anytime I see 75 was a great year, I start thinking of Frank Sinatra, Very Good Year, the song.
I think that's the one Sinatra song that I don't know.
When I was 21, it was a very good year.
Did
Watch,
you
I'm gonna-
see any ridiculous spellings in what I posted?
I'm gonna take a
Pardon?
gander. One moment. Running before you walk. Diction, cologne, declare, angry, leper, fear, cackle, snooty, barrel, invisible. Challenge, can't use the or and. Yep. Wonder if I
It did
can-
not like my formatting,
Yeah.
so
I like stacked consonants. Oh, no double letters. I like that. I'm gonna add that to the
ooh.
challenge. No double letters.
So we wouldn't be able to use the word challenge in that.
Yeah. Or letters. Consonants. Or vowels, so like snooty wouldn't have been able to use.
Oh. Or barrel. We wouldn't have been able to use barrel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough challenge sometimes. We'll have to pick that based off of what the prompt and the chosen words are.
Yep.
Or if it's any of our chosen words, we can't use that chosen word specifically. We'd have to use a synonym for it.
Oh, and then it'll be fun to choose the synonym.
Yeah.
And anything like see which synonyms we come up with.
Yeah.
That could be a challenge where use synonyms to all 10 words.
I love it. See what you did, Bex? You're out here changing the world
and
giving us a bunch of challenge ideas.
Okay, I like that idea. Okay, I got that picked out now.
Okay.
Right.
Let me get this timer going.
Saving this document before I go crazy.
Let me get this up here and shared. I love coming up with the challenges. I think that's just so fun.
Mm-hmm. It's really I feel like it's the chance to try different things creatively and such like, and see what works for you, and kind of makes you. It's like I mean, to go off the sprints, but it is a sprint. And
I can send you a quick list of challenges in an email. Yeah, do it.
Please do.
Thank you.
We fully support it. And Instagram or that's right. You sent her your email, so and then you'll send it my way.
Yes.
And actually, if you want, you can send her my email too.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll just send it to both of us.
Okay, I will do that.
Since you already have a message open with her. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Last prompt.
All right, we will begin our sprint in 3, 2, and 1.
What's up?
All right.
Autoplay is off. I checked.
It works. I gotta send this to you real quick.
Yep. I also got a story from Bex, so I will read that.
Sweet.
Oh, cool. I forgot that I made a signature on
Do that.
Gmail.
You're gonna bend those cards.
So,
So diction, I ended up throwing it at the end, and I still don't like it because I feel it's kind of misplaced. But I did make sure the and were not in the story, and it's funny because when I did my check, I had the in two places. I was like, "Ooh,
same.
let's fix that."
Same. I had to go
and it was later in the story where I must have like gone on autopilot or something.
Yeah, where you get into the flow of things and you're like, this is fine. Everything's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm doing great. But yeah, it's just for me, diction doesn't seem like something a teenager would say. But
I went on it tangentially, however you say that word, and then through that process, I came up with a story.
do you think Dobby and Spencer are like coordinating?
I think so.
Like,
Dobby is not happy with me right now.
hold me like you're supposed to.
He's pushing against the desk. I don't know if you could. No, you're going to try to eat my. He always gets so mad too. He's like, I want to do this my way. Honestly, that's his theme song. I don't know what's up with songs by
Frank Sinatra?
yes, but My Way is Dobby's theme song.
Unless he's going the Usher route with My Way. I can see him going Usher.
I can't pull that song into memory.
It's actually the Usher version of My Way is like saying that a girl that's taken likes it better Usher's way.
Ooh, I also got some challenges, so we will add those to the list.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Sweet.
Before we get into this round, let me read Beck's story so that it makes more sense within the context of our previous prompt.
Yes. So let's do a recap. The previous prompt was a much needed vacation. The words to include were hair's salon, bum, escape, waste, yesterday, quack, quaint, jittery, bob, and expensive. Now we've set the premise. Let's hear the story.
This year had knocked me on my bum. I needed an escape. I grip my coffee cup while I sit at my desk and stare at the screen. I tried to forget everything in my mind that had happened over the last year, but instead I emptied my brain in a huge explosion dump. A written rant, diary style, and let the caffeinated, jittery goodness fuel me on. I hammered the words out on my keyboard and gripe about, oh my gosh, Chandra words, and gripe about all the issues of yesterday. What a waste it had been. Every plan I had made went horribly awry. For example, I had gone to a quaint little shop on the outskirts of town to pamper myself a bit, hoping to shed the crap week I had alongside a few inches of dead ends. While at the hair salon, I got a cute cut and style. My ears were overloaded with every piece of juicy gossip one can imagine. I sat in the lobby, waiting for a chair to open. Nervously, I clutched the picture I had brought for the lady who was cutting my hair to use as inspiration. This was going to be a treat. All I kept thinking was a phrase I played over and over in my head. New year, new you, new hairdo. Imagine my shock when my turn had come, and I finally spun to face the mirror and see this new me. My eyes bulged and nearly popped from their sockets. Blood boiled in my veins at my outrage. Instead of the chic shag I had, instead of the chic shag I asked for, she had gone scissor happy, went rogue, and gave me a bob that belonged on a page boy a century back. What a quack. The cut was expensive. I wanted a refund to pay for it. I wanted to refuse to pay for it. Wait. The cut was expensive, and I wanted to refuse to pay for it. Instead, I smiled, and like a good Southern woman, politely, I grabbed my pocketbook and fanned the bills out in her hand and thanked her. I tipped her an extra 10, and when she said, "Bless you, have a nice day," I said, "You as well." Walking out of the shop, knowing I was replacing the words in my mind with "go to hell." "Go with it," I answered. Wait, where did I go to hell? I lost. Sorry. Southern women often say "bless your heart" and mean something more menacing. I walked to my car only to find a tire gone flat. A snoot-nosed teen boy walked by and I asked if I had a flat tire. Hello, it was obvious, but because of my new due, I had a new tude too. There we go. Sorry, I'm struggling with words. "Go with it," and I answered him with "nope." They were all flat, and now out of nowhere, these three just puffed right up.
I love this.
He shook his head, confused by my response. I walked home, not bothering with the car, and as I walked, the sky began to cry. I looked up and let my tears out too, and that was how I spent the last day of the year. I put my mug in the sink and drift towards my bookshelf. Where to go? I choose a book and sit on the couch, snuggling under the blanket. I open it and start my much-needed vacation. I love that. That's a great twist on a vacation, but it's accurate. Oh, I love that. Also,
I love this sass.
I tripped over some of the words and like I jumped a line, but that was just my dyslexia. I know sometimes when I trip over stuff, Natalie's like, "Okay, I see where you're struggling. Let me reformat that." But I wanted to be clear that this wasn't the phrasing or anything like that. This was specifically me missing a line because I'm dyslexic, and sometimes my brain's like, "You don't need to read that." I'm like, but I do. So yeah, I think the new tude too, that was very clever. And the sarcasm of "nope, these other tires just puffed right up." Like they, also this is a sidebar, but I watched a comedy thing where she talked about how when you're broke down on the side of the road, like a lot of people won't stop, but there's this caricature or character type. What's it called in writing? It's
A character.
the when there's like the comedian in the group, or the
Are you talking about a trope?
A trope or an archetype that, and she named this archetype Poppy, and said that he will always stop to help, but the first thing he says, like when you're on the side of the road broken down with the hood up, is "it no starting." Is how she put it. And I was like, I've heard those exact words, but her point on that, and this is a total sidebar, but I thought it was funny, and I'll have to look up her name and put it in the comments, but she was like, the thing is, he's always just got a screwdriver and a Sharpie, and he will fix your car for you, and he always stops. So just kind of like, I don't know, it was like a thank you note. Really, it was so sweet. And
it made me think of Jeff Foxworthy or Bill Engvall or whatever, where they do the "here's your sign"
yeah
type thing, like the semi truck who got stuck under an overpass. It's like, did you get stuck? Nope, I was delivering this overpass and just broke down.
Exactly. I think, yes, it was Angela Johnson. Yes, I love her.
Angela Johnson, she's the one that did the nail things. Like her big famous skit. Isn't that the one where it's the nails? And she talks about going into getting her nails done too. I'm saying she probably also did the one you're talking about, but I swear there was this girl that was kind of famous on YouTube, and it was like she's talking about how going into and getting a pedicure or manicure, usually run by some. I'm trying to think of how to properly say it so I don't offend people, but like an Asian denomination. But it's not religious. But yeah. Oh yeah, she does. Just one nail.
Yes. I mean, yeah. I think people say it all the time and don't realize how unhelpful it can come across. And so when someone actually helps you after they've said that, it's like, thank you.
Like I love like being someone who is and I can tell who's been around kids and stuff, but when like my son is like throwing a fit and everything, I can tell who's been around kids because they're the ones who give like 3 fingers, I support you as my kids throwing a fit, versus the people who haven't been around kids, they're the ones giving stink eyes going, oh, God, can you keep your kid in line in public? And it's just annoying. So that's always fun.
When I was a nanny, I was watching this little girl. She was 18 months old. I don't know how much sass could fit into one little body, but she had all the sass. The only rule her mom said was when she's eating, she needs to sit down at the table. That was the only rule. She couldn't stand in her booster seat or stand on the chair, whatever. Day one. Oh, the other reason I'm there is because her mom worked night shift. So she would be there sleeping and just needed someone to keep an eye on the baby so she could actually sleep from the night before. So I'm there. I've made her an egg for breakfast. She's at the table, turn around to clean up the dishes from cooking. And she's standing at the table in her booster seat holding her little fork. And she's like bending down onto the table to eat. And I'm like, okay, we need to sit down when we eat. And she just stretched out both arms by her side, holding her fork in her little fist, and screamed at the top of her lungs. And I was just in shock. I was like, I'd never had a kid do that to me. And I just looked at her and I was like, okay, well, we still need to sit down while we eat. And
I hear you. Your feelings are valid, but you must sit down.
So her mom comes out and is like, is everything okay? And I was like, oh yeah, I was just explaining that she needs to sit down at the table when she eats. And her mom was like, okay, well, don't let her scare you. And I'm like, I'm so glad you said that because I was terrified.
The way you were painting the picture, I was like, oh my God, she's standing and she's holding the fork. She's about to learn the hard way why.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, this is my first day on the job and she's standing up in her seat holding a fork and she's going to fall and it's day one for me. Yeah. I'm like, not only is she going to be hurt, but like, so, after that though, she sat down and she never gave me a hard time again.
You just said next week, it's fine.
She just was checking. She's like, just checking. I want to see if my mom's going to come out here and freak out on you and take my side, or if how you're going to respond. She was just checking the whole situation all at once.
Testing the boundaries.
She was. And like between my response and the way that her mom handled it, she was like, oh, okay, well, guess that didn't work. I'll just listen now.
Yeah. Putting my son in timeout has helped so much and everything. We do since he's 4, he's in timeout for 4 minutes. So his attitude has gotten so much better because now we just go, if you continue this, you're going to go in timeout. And he goes, and he's still whining, but he's not like screaming at us.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, I'm gonna have to watch these mentioned
I know.
comedy shows now. I've been on a comedy kick, so I'm excited. And yeah,
Yeah.
the mom definitely knew, and that baby was testing both of us. Like people are like, kids don't know. Kids know.
They know.
Kids
Kids are
know.
more aware than we give them credit for.
Yes. Oof. But I was definitely so nervous for a second there. So nervous. All right, so getting back to the writing stuff, now that we've been off on a wonderful fun tangent.
Take care of yourself, Bex, please.
Yes,
Don't stay on.
and thank you for sharing your story.
We love it. And I got your story, Chandra.
Okie doke, we ready?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Not gonna try.
Okay, you can put me on mute. No. Press it. Here, you press it.
All right. Oh, we need a timer. Why does YouTube dislike me so much? Okay.
It's not you, it's me.
Let me share. Okie doke. And so it begins.
Okay, I'm ready to. It took me a bit.
Okie doke. All right.
Can I read yours first?
Yes.
A year or two. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and read it, and then I'll jump in.
Okie doke.
All right. Diction, fundamental to proper communication. A strong understanding adds color to written or spoken worlds we weave. A cologne of language for intangible feelings of thoughts expressed, he said. To some, it sounds snooty, but to others, without it, they would be a leper, a pariah, distinguished by their lack of poise. Here lies a great irony. Either judgment is based on a lack of understanding, which breeds fear. You, my pet, are filled with fear. There is, of course, anger, he continued, perhaps at being excluded. Others declare it has no impact on them at all. Oh, don't cackle like that. It makes it sound like you are low. No, speak however you like. It's more important that people understand you wherever your walk of life. That is a gift. But what ghastly sounds pass from your mouth other than speech? That is within your power to control. This time, when you speak, don't make it sound like you are shooting fish in a barrel. I know you must not try running before you walk, but try to be imaginative, darling. You don't want to be made invisible by your own diction. He peeled a span of tape off her mouth, then snapped his crop hard on the wooden desk. Again. Okay. So at first, I thought this was two people speaking, based on the quotes and such, but then near the end is when I realized where it was going. The part that I loved the story and the overall, like, I imagine this like kind of like the English teacher that like, or actually even a theater drama teacher or something that is pushing their students to go too far. That I kind of imagine a student to professor relationship going on here. And it definitely seemed like a push. Maybe even like a, oh God, what's his name? Alfred Hitchcock. Like, this is how I feel like if instead of acting, if he did like telling people how to write, this is how he would treat people, just based on how we know how he treated women in his movies anyway. One of my favorite lines was a cologne of language for intangible feelings and of thoughts expressed. And I just thought like that cologne, because we think, when we think of cologne, it's definitely, we think of like a loud smell, heavy, kind of filling the air and flowing and such. And so I thought that by saying a cologne of language, like that would just beautiful, beautiful imagery. The part that I got picked up on a little bit was talking about here lies a great irony. Either judgment is based on a lack of understanding, which breeds fear. And then I was like, okay, what's the other side of either after judgment? Because it's either based on a lack of understanding, which breeds fear, or what? Because when you got either, I was expecting an or in there. But I did like that it was, you're filled with fear. I like that. Where else? I did like where it says, to some it sounds snooty, because when we talk about how people speak and their choice of words, we do almost, someone who is too well spoken, we think they're stuck up. We kind of paint our own picture of how this person is. So I'm kind of glad you did touch on that. And I like the part that threw me off, though, that didn't make me think, because at the end, I thought the person with the tape over their mouth, that I thought that maybe they were not wanting to be there, that they were kind of held against their will. And if they're not against their will, I would say let's have the person take the tape off themselves when he says, you can take off the tape now, and try and again. You can take off the the tape now. And then the person pulls it off themselves. And that makes it seem like it was more like a professor-student punishment situation. And they screwed up with their diction. So now they have to try again. But the line of, oh, don't cackle like that. If this person's, that's the part that made it seem like they were more willing to be a part of this than at the end where he takes the tape off. So those, to me, he takes the tape off and he's given this monologue, but they cackle. If you're being held against your will, you're not usually going to laugh. And you're not going to, you know, do whatever the person says either if you're laughing as well, if it was against the will. But that was my interpretation, my prediction of the story, as well as like my favorite line and then what I got hiccuped about.
So the part that you mentioned about, let's see, the either judgment. So to some it sounds snooty, but others they would be a leper, a pariah, distinguished by their lack of poise. So that was the either that I was referencing. That there's some people who sound snooty, but there's other people who they use specific diction, and that makes them fit in. But judgments of either way of speaking are based out of lack of understanding, which comes from fear. But it's good to know that that didn't come through. Now, the cackle piece is unreliable narrator. And I was hoping to draw that out a little bit with the part where he's like the other ghastly sounds that are coming out of your mouth, because this person's trying to say something, but they have tape over their mouth. So of course, nothing they say is going to sound clear. And the instructor is so self-absorbed with his monologue here that he just hears sound and is like you're cackling, like this doesn't matter. And he goes on with his. So yes, they are not, it is not a professor. I mean, he may have been a professor, but he's not an employed professor. That's not his job. And this person doesn't want to be there.
Yeah. And one part that I did like, even though we normally say steer away from this, I'm going to raise my chair back up because my son did this. He lowered me completely down. Okay. So one thing that I did like, and normally we steer away from this, the, oh God, what are they called? Common phrases, cliches. So you said shooting fish in a barrel, but I thought it was so well done in this. Like, and even though I recognize it as a cliche, I don't believe in taking it out at all. I think it is keep it in and everything. So just, I know that's usually something that we recommend to take out. So I want to make sure I say don't.
And Maggie, yes. Academic speaking mannerisms versus conversational common speaking mannerisms kind of thing. Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my take on your story. I really liked it. And I'm glad to know that, like, I kind of did have the feeling of like this, of a professor going crazy situation.
Yes.
And everything. Like, it kind of, you remember the movie, and it's been years since I've seen this, but it was like, I think it was called Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, high school kids are like pissed off because this English teacher is just hard on and everything. And so they end up like holding her hostage in her own home a little bit. So it's, yeah, it was interesting, kind of a situation. And she, I think she lives at the end, but it was one of those where she ends up getting a kinder heart by the end. So
Stockhausen?
Yeah, a little bit.
Not I just mixed up Stockholm with Munchausen.
It's okay.
Only writers.
I think that's why writers, we're so bad with words sometimes, is because we just like spit it out because we know we can edit later, but we forget you can't really do that with speech.
Oh my gosh. Wait, would Stockhausen be when you get really attached to your parent who has Munchausen stalk, like
maybe. I'm not familiar with the Munchausen thing, but Stockholm syndrome, I have a theory that I was like, well, kids have Stockholm syndrome with their parents because they have no comparison. It's just what they know. But then someone brought up, they're like, no, look how parents, like, we take care of babies. They scream, cry. There is no added value yet. And everything. It's the fourth trimester and stuff. And so I found that interesting, to the discussion of who has Stockholm syndrome, the parents with the new child or the child.
Stockhausen is a short story now. So Munchausen is there's Munchausen by Proxy. I don't know if you remember this, and I think it might be by Proxy, where the girl in the news was, her mother would like drug her and give her different stuff, and in order to portray her daughter as being
ill and kind of like
having a disability
and having the sympathy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh,
and she was and then the daughter ended up killing her mother as a means of escape.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, now I'm familiar with that because there's been a few movies about that, and there's like I've actually, and I like, even in the movie Sixth Sense, you don't know if it was on purpose or not, but that stepmom was gradually making Misha Barton's character sick, like keeping her sick for years. So
so by proxy is when the parent or the caregiver makes another sick so they can get attention as a caregiver, and I think that's the most common one that I've heard about.
Okay, so it's making yourself sick for sympathy versus getting sympathy of, look how caring I am to this person who you've been making sick from. Okay.
It happens in elder care at horrifying rates. And I'm even in Eminem's music, he talks about that. That is,
really?
That his mother was like drugging him and using like her medication on him to make him sick so she could It's quite terrible.
I never understood like the ability to be able to make someone suffer for your benefit. Like bullying is practically that. It's putting other people's down so you feel better. And this Munchausen by Proxy, same thing. I don't know. Like people are just trying. And then actually I feel like there should be another thing, but what about these people who only do nice things if people are watching, if it's recorded, so they can like, I feel like there should be a name for that.
The hypocrites?
Yeah, sure. That sounds spot on. Because you see it a lot. Like, no, I absolutely love Faith and Humanity Restored videos and stuff. But to me, I believe in doing something because it's the right thing to do versus doing something because people are watching. Like I believe in being anonymous and stuff. Like no one has to know all the details and stuff. Like it doesn't matter because the action is still done. And to me, the action being done is more important than the credit. But I see a lot of YouTube videos of like, hey, thanks everyone. We're going to go hand out all this stuff and be like, and then holding the camera into like a homeless person's face.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I'm like, did they fully agree to this? Or do they feel like they're not going to be gifted something if they don't agree? Because if you're not going to give someone gift of caring or something like that because they don't want to be filmed, then that's means your heart's not in the right place.
I think there's another side of that as well, especially in this social media day and age, where I would say some of those, the homeless person may not even actually be homeless. It may be another part of the crew that is dressed up to portray the homeless person.
Oh, God. Maggie was bringing up this a lady who was poisoning her husband with dandruff shampoo so she would get attention for being so devoted for taking care of her sick husband, but then she accidentally killed him. The EMT saw his fingernails and told the ER doctor he ran a heavy metal tox screen, and they figured out she'd been poisoning him for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And had raised almost $500,000 for his medical care, but she spent all the money on herself. What the?
That is crazy.
Huh. Yeah, sometimes you gotta refresh.
Nobody said anything in the chat for quite a while, so I
Sorry,
thought
Shannon.
and then the chat filled in. It's not even like it just filled in. We're also having crazy talk.
Yeah. Sometimes we just it becomes a moment of where we're just chatting, and sometimes chat will chime in, or Chandra and I forget to check the chat. So.
Or I derail us by saying Stockhausen. It brought up some really great conversation, though.
Yeah, I mean, and that's actually really good writing stuff, emotional wounds type of evaluation. So,
and I will say, if anyone needs any kind of general morbid information, you know that research is my jam. I'm really good at finding just not just obscure documentation, but historical references and stuff. But if you ever need any inspiration around horror stuff that actually happened, just let a girl know.
Oh, wait. The jury refused to declare her mentally ill. They convicted her of first-degree murder.
I don't know. Well, I think in order to be mentally ill, they have to prove that you didn't know what you were doing was wrong.
Yeah, and she knew it was wrong and everything. It's at what point is the drive for clout? At what point is it a mental illness?
I don't think there's any denying that she's mentally ill, but there's a lot of other people who are also mentally ill who are still aware that a specific behavior is wrong, so they don't do it.
True.
I agree with the jury. If she conclusively knew what she was doing, it's first-degree murder.
It's one thing where you're just okay, let's say her husband was sick, mm-hmm. and she was trying multiple different avenues to help him and then accidentally killed him. That's not first degree.
Probably manslaughter.
Yeah, that would be manslaughter. And she was going obscure, going, no, the shampoo is going to help you because of this or something like that. And she's has all these things. It has all these ideas and sayings of mm-hmm. Rub it on your skin. It will soak through the skin or something. And whatever it is that ended up. But by perpetually using the same thing over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. She deliberately did it for 2 years. I was actually I'm reading a book about Rutherford B. Hayes. He was the president during the time period that I write about. So, of course, I must know more about him. And he was also a lawyer. One of the cases that brought him to prominence was representing a young woman who killed some people. But he brought up her family history as her father did some self-harm things that resulted in his not living. And then her mother believed that she was married to Jesus and had some other delusional things happening. And he brought that up as a point of reference. And then part of his defense of her was to say that there wasn't anyone who hadn't had mental health issues touch their family in some way, and that instead of trying to convict her as a murderer, people should look at her as a person, as someone who could be their sister or their mother or family member. And that was part of his defense, which I was like, okay, first of all, Mr. President Hayes, how very forward thinking of you.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised, but I thought that was very interesting.
I like that approach. I mean, it makes sense because the fact that someone's family history could be brought in and be it's not their fault. But then it makes me wonder, because in that situation, it's like she couldn't help herself. Like there's really nothing added value. But if your entire family has a history of substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
the counter argument would be, well, just avoid the substance, whatever it is. But the issue is like, I mean, my substance abuse is sugar. That is my crack, my cocaine, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's other people who have actual substance abuse where they can't even have alcohol at all, or any pain medication, even just Tylenol or something, or a sleep aid in any way, like Benadryl or something like that. Like they have to avoid any of those.
Mm-hmm. She
Right.
put it in garlic cream cheese spread and his lotion. Well, I really like garlic cream cheese spread. Now I'm going to think about this story every time I eat that, which is kind of great.
What else is there? What is that?
Strychnine chocolate lady. It was a different lady. She killed her ex-fiance's family by sending them boxes of chocolate where half the chocolate was poisoned and half weren't.
Oh God. That makes me think a little bit of Breaking Bad, where Walter White put poison in one of the cigarettes and then put it in Jesse's cigarette pack. But then unfortunately the little boy took his cigarette.
Ooh. I'm not that. I've only watched like half of season 1.
Oh yeah.
I know it
goes further down and everything. I won't say what resulted.
I need to keep watching it. I don't know.
There's other things on your list of to do. So
there are, and also I think when I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is too much sad.
Yeah, well, and it's also like, I mean, if you're dealing like with your family with cancer and stuff, it's probably certain points would hit close to home. Like I watched Maid on Netflix. That thing triggered me and everything because I've it's just one season. I think it's actually just a short series, but it's emotional abuse, and that triggered me because I've seen it throughout my life.
Yeah,
constantly, and it put me on edge watching that. The amount of control and everything, and then the victim blaming of, well, why did you allow it for so long? I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, allow me to count the ways.
Yeah. So, but that show was, it depicted it really well. And then it got to a point where you can just relate to the main character, where it just seemed like every single where she turned, she got like punched in the face by something else.
I'm not sure what this is in reference to, but I'm pretty sure it's not
killing the ex-family. She got the death penalty, which was surprising because that generation believed in mental health problems were inherited through bad family blood and that women couldn't be mass killers. Well, I'm surprised not more women put that to their...
I don't think it's safe to assume that. I think it's more likely that women are more likely to get away with it because of that assumption.
Yes.
And has been getting away with it for longer. But also, when men kill, it typically is a much more visible way. Tends to be a lot of gun and knife violence. Versus when women kill, it tends to be more subtle and underhanded, a lot of poisoning and stuff like that. Or they'll also hire someone to do it because
we don't want to get our hands dirty.
Precisely.
Worst part was the new wife shared the chocolates with her family and the neighbors children. When children are affected, it gets me. I hate it when children, like, just by proximity.
Sugar is my addiction too. We were right.
Oh, okay. Pretty clear.
About doing crime.
Yeah. Like that's why. So I actually had breakfast this morning, but I had Fruit Loops sugary. So for lunch, it was celery and carrots with ranch. Mostly because I usually skip breakfast, so I decided to go lighter on lunch and everything. And then
another thing. I need to watch Maid as well. Yeah, I haven't. This is the first one.
It's the first episode that's the worst for me. Like that was the worst. But after that, it was a little easier for me to digest. But I think because also it sideswiped me because I didn't know what Maid was about at all. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew it got rave reviews.
To Maggie's point here, I would also like to add, especially in the time period that I'm writing about, there were instances where it was very clear that a woman had killed her husband, but because there were also limited options as far as like social work and preventing a husband from being abusive, there weren't a ton of options. Doctors actually did, I want to say, not a surprising amount, but doctors actually did what they could for a lot of women by having them committed and saying, you know, this is the only way we can keep your husband from doing you harm. It's not great living in an asylum, but
well, especially back then, like some of the stuff and
but I mean, if you're just going around shuffling around in your slippers and knitting, no one's going to bother you. Versus people who have like other issues would have more treatment and stuff like that. But I mean, also, I guess this is a little bit later when they started to just like give out drugs and vitamins and stuff. Like if you're watching the Queen's Gambit, but I mean that was one way that people could help women who were stuck in really bad domestic situations, was to have them committed, or if they had a strong, powerful family, that family could be like, well, give us our sister back, or, you know, bad things will happen to you. The other thing that would happen, though, is that women would sort things out themselves, and then the police would come to investigate and see, you know, maybe a bruise on somebody's arm and be like, well, looks like he fell down the stairs. That's so sad.
Oh, no.
I'm laughing because I'm very morbid, but I do also think it's interesting the ways that people found to help each other. Whereas if they just had laws about like, hey, I don't know, don't throw pots and pans at your wife.
It makes me think, what if your main characters in the story you just wrote, what if it was the a father-daughter or a wife and husband? Like, how would the woman get back on anything?
Well,
because where this is like
story,
where this is part of her trauma, and then she's able to overcome them, and like she gets smart with her diction or something, and I could. Oh my God, I just did the whole story in my head, because like on his death, he realizes her ability with words and like gives and praises her as he's dying, and it pisses her off because she's like, dude, I killed you.
You remember how we were going to co-write a story and I was just going to send you something I had written and you were going to finish it?
Yeah. Finish that?
Yeah. You've already got it. Do it.
Okay. I'm writing it down, otherwise it won't happen. But so now I'll what it'll be, because it's still got to stay flash fiction, is that the next scene, but the word count won't affect each other.
Yeah.
The next scene will be that death.
I like it. There's a very famous painting of a woman in a kitchen that people really like early on. Then someone pointed out that it was an abused woman plotting to kill her husband because she was bruised.
Wow.
And chopping poison mushroom.
By the way, who went through all the mushrooms on the world and figured out what was good, what was not? I'm just saying.
For real, though. For real.
Okay.
He fell asleep while smoking a pipe and oops. I mean, it do be like that sometimes. That's why you never smoking that. I mean, but honestly, that used to happen all the time between that and candles.
Hopefully my camera doesn't go out, but I'm gonna show the dogs.
Dude, I'm so cute.
They're just focused.
Mine is like laying over here in this chair, and she's like curled up in a ball now. But before she would lay her chin on the armrest and just sit there and watch me.
Nice.
She'd just be like, "What doing?" She's out. She's sleeping. Oh, I haven't read your story yet. And
Yes.
I should do that. Okay. Let me know when we're ready. You ready?
Ready.
Mothers, who needs them? I said. Come on, Mindy, you don't mean that. Faith plopped next to me. I declare it today. I do not need a mother. I do not need my mother. I cook, I clean, I raise my little brothers. Mindy, your mother taught you how to do all those things. She took you into her housekeeping jobs over summer break. Faith placed her hand over mine, squeezing gently. I cackle. Are you kidding me? I'm self-taught. I conquered my oven fears when my hunger shook me to my bones. My mother treated me like a leper when she came home each night. Even though she kept her distance, I could still smell cologne on her, probably rubbed off some date at Whiskey Barrel. Faith pulled her hand back. I have something to tell you. I snapped my head to my best friend. What? Your mother isn't going on dates at Whiskey Barrel each night. My parents hired her to clean when they close. I point my gaze at her. How do you know this? We're both underage. Faith sighed. I heard them talking at 3 a.m. Dark hallways kept me invisible, but I still heard them. They were angry that some regular copped a feel. It is a shared parking lot, so it's not quite private property. It didn't help his snooty wife thought your mother came on to her husband. Mindy shook her head. That doesn't explain her smelling like cologne multiple nights. Faith shrugged. Men's body spray is cheaper than women's. Your mom is probably trying to lessen the cleaning product fumes. Mindy's gaze locked on each wood plank across from her. Was her perception wrong all along? Why did her mother hide this from her? A hand touched Mindy's arm. Hey, Faith said. Your mom loves you a lot. She may not say it, but I think her actions speak louder than her diction. I really like it. I like what you did with Declare, because it made it believable for a teen character to be like being obstinate about it and being like, I declare today that I do not need my mother. And it's like, just, I get the emphasis, and the characterization came through really strongly there. The part that I was distracted by was I snapped my head to my best friend, and reading that, it's like when someone says my eyes are on the desk, and I just visualize eyeballs sitting on a desk, and it's very distracted to me. I don't know if that's everyone. It may be a personal problem, but that's how. So when it said I snapped my head to my best friend, I just saw like her head snapping to the friend's shoulder. And I was quite distracted by the visual.
I can see that now. But that makes it very comical. It kind of makes me think of like Amelia Bedelia.
I've never seen that.
No, oh, it's a book. So
Oh,
like
okay.
she makes a sponge cake
Mm-hmm.
out of sponges. She dusts the living room by taking like powder and putting it all over the living room.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah.
That makes good sense because I'm very literal. And someone said something to me the other day, and then I did the thing, and they were like, no, I meant this. And I was like,
Clear, concise communication. But
Now
this is why you are one of the great critique partners, because there's so many times where I'm like, oh yeah, this. And you go, snap in the head. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I hear it now. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can't. Sometimes I'm like, or I'll even catch myself and I'm like, how else to put this? And I'm like,
And this was difficult. Like, I made sure there was no thes. I think at one
Yeah.
point you said the, and I freaked out and I jumped over and I'm like, no, okay,
No.
I'm good.
It wasn't there. I just read it in because I
Yeah.
think that's like organically how it would.
Mhm.
But no, it was good. There was no and, there was no the or the. I mean, it was good. That one thing, it's persnickety and it's my personal problem. When Chandra first mentioned that, it ruined the phrase "eyes on" for me. I can't
Yeah.
unsee it. I know, and it's like one of those things. It's stuck in my brain also, and I'm like, this is unhelpful.
Well, it's okay. You're bringing us into this this fold, and it's just going to become commonplace for us now. So you're not alone. You've created other boat goers on this journey.
Or when people say "give ear to this," and you just like,
They did that in Men in Tights, Mel Brooks, and it was like, gentlemen, lend me your ears, and they all take their ears and throw them on stage, and Dave Chappelle's like, not what I meant, or something like that, and they went on.
but I mean, it's so I'm literal, and sometimes it really shoots me in the foot.
But I love it. So either way, all right. So
Yeah.
Snap the Head did not convey what I wanted it to. So
And
That's good.
but now on the other side of that, I point my gaze to her. I saw that as more like just kind of the like,
yeah, I didn't want to say, because I was thinking, since this is for first person, I didn't want to say furrowed brow, but I did want to like, what would she be feeling? What the hell?
yeah. Like, yeah, she's like, we're both underage. How would you know that? Yeah, I like it. I do see what you meant about having a hard time with diction in there. But as we spoke of, there are times where in these prompts we say things in ways that we wouldn't usually because of the prompt. And that is the point of the prompt, to get us outside.
I even tried to research. I was like, what is diction close to that? Because I would believe teenagers misusing the word diction,
Mm-hmm.
or using the word diction in place of something else, but I could not figure it out.
Have a good night. Thank you so much for coming, and Steve missed me. Enjoy your family time.
Yes. And we'll be ending soon.
Yeah.
We just gotta hash this out. So either way.
I know, I see what you mean there. I think for characterization, it would be, have you seen the movie House Bunny?
Yeah.
In there, how she always misuses a word and then explains it, so it actually makes sense. So not necessarily explaining it, but maybe having the character misuse multiple words, so we realize that it's not that you are aware of the meaning of the words and you are playing with their meaning by having a character misuse them as a means of characterization.
Okay, so yeah, I like that. Like in for instance, instead of parking lot, I could just say park area or something. I don't know.
Could be like maybe pavement or
oh yeah, shared pavement, so it's not quite private property. Or instead of private property, use a different word for property or something. Like I think 2 other times in the story separated, not in the same sentence. And then that way the last one, diction, can be like she's trying to, and actually I would maybe add in 2 other what I like to call $100 words and everything.
Like she's trying to sound grandiose and
yes,
she does not do so good sometimes.
Yeah, but like 1 out of 3 times she actually does well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I like that tidbit. That's actually a really good idea.
see where she says. Or like even your mother isn't going on soiree, because you wouldn't say going on soiree. You would be like going to a soiree or something like that. Where like so it's like pointed enough that you're like, no, I get what you mean, but what? Yeah, I think that would be funny, and it would also be
it would definitely develop the characters a little bit more.
It would also make when the other character, the main character who's talking, says, "I declare it today," it would make it a fun jab at her friend for using big words.
Nice.
So she's like, yeah, I declare. And then you see as you continue to read, like, oh, her friend uses big words all the time, so she's like, I gotcha. I think that'd be really cute.
Dogs, you're not going outside. I don't care what squirrel's out there. Every week. Every day. Y'all just don't really see it every time.
Piper's like totally out. I'm talking to her. I'm like,
lucky dog.
She's like, leave me alone. I'm doing sleep.
I like the feedback you gave so far. I'm definitely gonna do that and play with the words a little bit. Dogs, stop. Oh my gosh.
What squirrel? You know what's funny? My dad can't say squirrel properly. He always says squirrel.
That's funny. There was words growing up. I couldn't say enemy. I would always say Eminem. Or vice versa. Enemy. Yeah. So like enemy and Eminem were like always interchanged. Like I just struggled with it.
That is fair. Those are tricky ones.
Mm-hmm.
I always said emony instead of enemy.
Yeah. There was I think it's a Boston accent test, but if you look up the phrase Aaron earned an iron urn, you'll find a video of this guy, and he goes, Aaron earned iron urn, and he's like, do we really talk like that? And then he like over enunciates, going, Aaron earned an iron urn.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
It is a hilarious video, but if you look up that phrase, like I think it's tied to Boston, but at least in the title that I saw, I'm not familiar enough with accents to know, but it was very comical, and it makes me, I love hold on, Spencer. I love when
Baltimore accent.
Maybe Baltimore, yeah. But I love it when people develop dogs. You're not going out. When people like reflect on their own accents and how accents evolve and stuff, like car keys versus khakis for Boston.
I don't know if I have an accent or not. I
don't believe you do it. And I've been told I don't either, but then also my accent slips out when I'm tired or pissed off, and then or talking too fast. So then getting off the phone, bye will turn into bye.
My thing is that, and this is a little bit embarrassing, but the more time I spend around a specific person, the more I start to sound like them, and I can't help that. That's what happens when you grow up with parents who have a really strong accent, and then you spend a lot of time around people who don't have that accent, and then you move to the South, and you spend a lot of time around people with a Southern accent, and then it just becomes really ambiguous, and the more you hear it, the more you sound like it, and it sounds like you're making fun of people when you're not, and it's just a personal problem.
That's me too. Like, so when I lived in Germany, I started to have a German American accent, just slightly on certain words, and it's just because that's me. Like, I pick up on other people's accents, and they're like, I don't know why and everything, but I saw a study or something, or someone may have mentioned it to me trying to make me feel better about myself, of that people who do that are easily swayed by their voice are very, when it comes to writing, they're which is true for me, very dialogue focused, and their dialogue is usually strong because they pay attention to how things are said more. And so if you're susceptible to accent changes, you might be a strong dialogue writer.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I will too. So it works. But
I love it. I'm gonna have to
Oh,
watch this video though.
yeah, it's real short and it's hilarious. So anyone in the chat, feel free. I
Yeah.
think it's been rotating around Reddit and TikTok.
This one looks like it's like a 1 minute. They're pretty short, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna play with that. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for today.
Yeah, it's 3:40.
Yeah.
Thanks for everybody for coming, and thank you to Bex and Margaret who submitted their flash fictions. That was very enjoyable to read for the first prompt, and love it. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the challenges that Bex sent over, the writing challenges. So
Don't put your eyes on anything.
Don't snap. So,
All right.
man, I'm gonna start thinking of literal phrases. I would love to write a story with just a whole bunch of literal
Oh, that would be funny.
literal phrases, but it's actually the other way. Like they're not taken that way.
I like it. Isn't there a part in Pirates of the Caribbean where the guy with the wooden eyes, like, I've got my eye on you?
Oh yeah. Moody.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, in Harry Potter. So
Oh,
Okay.
Tail egg.
yeah, the tail's wagging strong. All right, I'm gonna let these dogs.
Yes.
I might consider letting them outside. I don't know. It's wet and they're squirrels that apparently are driving them crazy. So
What could go wrong?
Yeah, nothing could go wrong. It's just muddy. Gotta tell
Thank
by the
you
back
all.
door.
Thank you all so much for coming. Happy New Year. Thank you for spending part of your
Yes.
January 1st with us, and we'll see you next week on Natalie's channel.
Yep.
So do that. Get it. Got it. Good. More sprints. Devin has linked the
Yes.
playlist below. Click on it. Go
And
be
they
better.
update that constantly because so
Do it.
it's really
Alrighty. And with that, we'll see y'all next time.
Bye everybody.
Bye.
I got it.